Okay. So we're going to go ahead and continue on with the print on demand challenge. And this is day 44. I have to remember what day it is. Okay, so we've looked at a couple of different things when it comes to the print on demand challenge. And what I wanted to do was I meant to do the types of books. So I want to make sure types of books. Some of the types of books that we talked about a few different types of books. And I want to make sure that I make a note of what those are for you as you come back and you watch this and your book journey. Let me delete all of these. Okay. So there's so many different types of books that you all can choose to publish. We'll start with some of the basics and the least expensive. So flip books and ebooks, those are all inexpensive, easy to do. You can do paperback books, and in your paperback books, those types of books, you can decide on what content you want in those. You can decide that you're going to do a paperback book for a story or a novel. You can do nonfiction, self-help, stuff like that, or fiction, instructional guidance, those types of things. Okay. And I think we went through the exercise of looking at like a chapter book. I don't know if anybody's really interested in doing a novel here, but they might. Somebody might. Okay, so then the next one, I don't know why it's not letting me go backwards, but I need to go. Okay, all right. Then the next one is we've talked about journals and notebooks. Those are always good. We've talked about recipe books, those types of informational type of books. In different types of journals, you can use journals for, and also workbooks, sorry. Different types of workbooks. So when you think about journals, we've talked about journals from a standpoint of creating like devotional journals. You could do journals for just daily, how you're feeling, what's going on with your life. You could journal what's happening, with your tracking your food, what you're eating. You could be journaling your exercise and keeping track of what's happening there. So all of those in journals and notebooks, those types of things are considered low content books because they don't have a lot of words in them. Okay. There's not a lot of stuff in them. So they're classified under, in most cases, low content. You can do planners. And with the workbooks, again, there's all types of workbooks that you can create. You can create educational workbooks. You can create, most of them are going to be educational. Educational and training. If you're trying to teach something, show somebody something, guide somebody through something, and there is a regular book, informational nonfiction book that goes with it, and there's a workbook, sort of the exercises. Those are great complementary, books that can go well together because of the fact that you can increase the minimum order value. You can get repeat customers, especially if it's something that you publish on a regular basis. So if you're publishing something yearly, you can get them to come back and get the next year's version of that if it's well designed, well written, things like that. Planners, again, that's also considered sort of a low content book, depending on how the planner is designed. So it could also be go into the low content category. And then you've got photo books, comic books, coloring books. And some of the coloring books, again, depending on how they're designed, could go into the low content category as well. You could do hardback books. And that would go again with, stories or novels or nonfiction or things like that. And under nonfiction, you've got all kinds of self-help books that can go there, like anything. Recipe books could go under nonfiction. So there's a classification for each one of them. And I'm trying to remember if there's any other things that you can produce. Now, I'm going to say there's planners, and then I'm going to put planners and calendars, because depending on the platform in which you decide to sell on, sometimes the calendars will be printed like a paperback. It'll just be a larger size paperback. And so you would create it or design it like a paperback book. And then the person, of course, will turn it vertical so that way, they can hang it up on the wall or whatever they want to do with it. Okay. But these are some of the common books that you can create if you're going to do once you get into creating books. So let me go back and make sure I got all of the types of books. I don't want Lululemon. Lulu Express. There we go. Lululemon is clothing. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff with clothing. It started. No, our products. There we go. Comic books, magazines. Oh, I forgot magazines. That's what I forgot. Magazines. And you have the different sizes of the books. So I forgot magazines. That was the only one I think I forgot. Yeah. All right. Magazines is the last one. Comic books and magazines. So again, depending on what your talent is, what your skill is, what you do well, all of these are potential options. And depending on what the product is that you want to create and the audience you want to serve, all of these are options. The first two, you can definitely publish. You can create on your own, create a website and release that book with minimal cost to you, like extremely minimal cost. Design the entire thing in Canva and call it a day. Paperback books, again, there's some print-on-demand designs where you will spend minimal cost as well. So depending on which platform you decide to print on, books that, again, have a lot of color in them are going to cost you a little bit more money. And so you just need to be mindful of that. If there's a lot going on inside the book, you may want to have, I've already said this before, but definitely have somebody look at it, because of the fact that it may be overwhelming to whoever receives it, depending on how you lay it out. If you're not an expert and you haven't really gone out there and looked at what some of the formats are for existing books in that particular category, related or similar, then definitely consider having somebody review it. You can also get a beta group and have them give you feedback, which is one of the things that we did. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So the next thing is, we've talked about trademark early in our journey, and we talked about copyright early in our journey. And so I just want to take a moment to come back and let's revisit this for a second. So with the trademark, if you are deciding that you're going to build something bigger than just putting something out into the universe and see if it sticks, if you decide that you really want to go with publishing multiple things, and you can even do this with creating products like product bundles, then establishing a trademark, which would be your potential brand, is extremely helpful, so that way you can publish under that and be protected. So trademarks are a way to protect your brand and your logo and any other goods that you create. Maybe, let's say, I know that someone on our team is looking at endangered species. So what if at some later point she publishes this amazing book or a series of books around endangered species, and then you decide to do stuffed animals that go with that? So kids can get the book on endangered species and stuffed animals that go with them, and they're all up under her brand. She can source them wherever and have, get them white labeled so that way she can put her logo and brand on them. All of that goes together. And so she wants to protect all of that, the book and the other products, the complementary products that go with it. Let's say you're going to release a cookbook. And so one of the things that you want to do is you want to, under your brand, you also want to include an apron, or maybe you want to include some specific utensils or pots and pans. Like, it doesn't have to be something that is small. It can expand out to something major, something bigger than what you currently envision it to be. If you're doing the journals for the devotional, the scriptures, I mean, think about all of the complementary things that you could put with that, with the scriptures, with the journal. So, something simple like bookmarks. You could do branded bookmarks, so that way people can have a great placeholder. What if you decided to do pin lights or clip-on lights for those people who like to do things from the bed? And so, meaning read from the bed, sorry. And so maybe they don't want to go to sleep and they don't want to bother their partner. So they have those little clip-on headlamps that you could clip onto your journal. So then that way, while your partner's sleeping, you can still journal and be in the bed if that's something you want to do, or you want to be in a quiet place, or, a place where you're not bothering everybody. You can get up in the middle of the night and do these things. So there's always a potential opportunity if you think bigger than where you are right now. You don't have to launch everything. That's the reason why we do the mind map exercise. So that way we don't lose the ideas and we don't get overwhelmed. We're going to focus on, in the mind map, we're going to focus on one of the bubbles, one bubble at a time. We're going to work on that bubble. We're going to launch that bubble. We're going to focus on it for 3 to 6 months. And then we're going to move on to the next bubble. And we're going to focus on that for 3 to 6 months, maybe 9 months, depending on what's going on. And then we're going to move on to the next bubble and focus on that for 3 to 6 or 9 months. So establishing a trademark is a way of protecting yourself and going through that process. I do encourage you. I think that Amazon's process for establishing your trademark is better than anything else that's out there. And the reason is because they have accelerated it somehow. And I can't tell you why or how. I just know that I've now connected with at least 3 or 4 different people that are like, it took me 16 months, it took me 18 months, it took me whatever to do it on their own, versus Nicole over here did it in like, I don't know. I think it was I really need to go look at the emails, because I feel like from soup to nuts, it was like under 3 or 4 months. But I got to go look at all my email chains from the attorney just to make sure I get that time frame right. So I'll go look at that and I'll tell you exactly how long it took, because it wasn't long. And everybody was like, I don't even know how you did that. So anyway, Amazon's IP Accelerator program. And even if you don't plan on selling on Amazon, it can help expedite the process for you. That's all I'm saying. So these are the steps. You can go and do your own searching on your own, search the database for existing trademarks. You're going to get your application together. You're going to make sure that it meets the legal requirements. And this is where having an attorney do this for you is 10 times better than you trying to figure it out on your own. Because at some later point, if you miss something, if you didn't understand it, if you misinterpreted something, it's not going to hold up well for you in a court of law. I'm just telling you. So having an attorney to be able to dot all the I's and cross all the T's is what you want. Then you're going to work with the United States Patent and Trademark Office as needed. And then you'll receive a approval or denial, and then you'll have protect your rights. So there's actually a registration piece that goes with this, but that's in essence the steps that you're going to go through as an overview. And then I did already share links for trademark articles that you can go look at so that you fully understand what you need to do to trademark your brand that you're going to ultimately create this under. And your brand can be your name. If you're going to be an author under your name, you can still trademark your name, so that way, especially if it's a common name. But well, I guess it doesn't matter if it's a common name. But my name is truly unique. But I'm not trademarking anything under my name. I'm trademarking it under my business, because when I leave this earth, I really want everything to be under my business. So that was a strategic decision that I made for me as a business, because I have 2 special needs kids. But you can decide how you want your stuff to operate. So decide how you want it to operate. If you want to put everything under your business, that's fine. If you want things under your name, that's fine. Then the next part is copywriting. So copywriting is another part of this process. Now that you've gone through the trademark and you established your trademark, then you're going to start creating this amazing book. There will be aspects of the book that a copyright office may say, you know what, you can't copyright these 5. Like, I can't copyright them. You can have them for general use because they're out there in the universe. But this piece and the way you designed it and the way you laid it out and the way you did this and the way you did that, this can all be protected under copyright. So again, going through that process again with the copyright office, they're going to, figure out your literary works, where it fits, what category. And they're going to have a boatload of categories to choose from. Okay. So you'll create an account and then you will start the copyright registration process, fill out all the details, complete the application, and submit your work along with your book for them to review it. Now, this is what I was told, is that it is better to get a copyright before your book is published than after. It is better to get a copyright before your book is published than after. Now, that's what I was told. That's one attorney's opinion. You can decide on that. So I went down that route of getting my stuff copyrighted before my book actually went out to the public. Getting it copyrighted after, I don't know what the entanglement is that's involved in that. I use the word entanglement because, again, if somebody else had already gotten it copyrighted, your timing and blah, 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 I'm sure that there's like some backtracking going on there. So you just want to be mindful of those two things so that you don't get caught up and run into any challenges or any problems with the whole copyright process. So those are two big pieces. And as part of the copyright, there's a whole registered, not registered. And I always forget this part, so I always have to go look it up. So, and then it's also included in the links that I believe. So there's like a trademark registered and copyright. Okay. So what's the difference? Let me see if this is a really good article or not, or if it's just trash. They're going to talk about it from a legal standpoint, and I'm always going to be confused about that. So I always try to go to like an attorney website so they could break it down for those of us that are not attorneys and not using legal jargon. So let me see if this is a good article or not. Oh, I know where I went. I think it was Reedsy. Reedsy? I think it was Reedsy. Copyright, registered, necessary, terms of use, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So there's a couple different terms that I think the copyright part is already something that I'm sharing in this article, but there's a whole, let's see if I can find it. Only because I'm looking for it. Meant to find it before this meeting. Just see. Yeah, no. Let me just 2 seconds. I'm gonna find it. I had to give it to my VA for them to go through it. So I've done this enough times. You would think that I would have kept the link. uh, okay, which ones to use? I think it was LegalZoom. They did. I think one of these did a really good job of. Here's the easy way to keep that in mind, and that's the gray area, overlapping, blah blah blah. All right, I'm going to include this link. Let me just grab it, and I will send this to you all to look at it. And one more, so that you're good to go. Or maybe you're not. No, that's the one we already looked at, not the one I want. Maybe it is this one. One that I saw had examples. So let's see if I can find it. All right. Probably not going to find it only because I'm looking for it. I'll look at this one and see if this is the one. But they had the examples of how to do the copyright. And I feel like I gave it to you all before, but I just didn't keep it. Ah, there you go. When to use copyright, different types of work to protect creative work, thoughts, ideas, principles, discoveries cannot be protected. Here's some verbiage around copyright. And I think previously we went through an exercise where I shared that. I'll grab this one and keep it as well. So I don't think this was the one that ultimately was what we were using. Control A. Format, word wrap. I don't know why that's not the default. It's just weird to me. Okay, I'm going to check one more. Give me just a second. And I apologize. I meant to already have this pulled up, but yeah, maybe it's in Forbes. Nope, this is not the article. So, nope, that's not it. Oh, no, it's further down. Okay, I think this one we already have. And so, anyway, if I find it, I'll include it in the email. I'll send that out to everybody because there's one that was like really straightforward, really easy. You can see the difference, you can see the example, and thought it was pretty straightforward and easy. So, that is, yeah, we'll use that whenever I find it. So, going back to copyright, the thing that you need to know is that some of your work will be able to be protected under copyright. Some of your work will not be able to be protected. And you just need to be prepared for that. There is a fee. So the first one, the trademark, I believe I've already quoted. I know it was, I feel like it was like 1,400, something like that, 1,300 something. I think there's a difference depending on what you wanted to trademark. So for me, we trademarked the name and the logo, the brand, and there was like 3 different things that we trademarked. And so that cost us around 1,300. But if we didn't do all of those, I think it was like just under 1,000, maybe like 985 or something like that. And then the copyright was like somewhere between 250 and 350, I feel like, or 385. I can go back and look at those emails to give you the exact price that I was quoted. But again, the process was fairly easy. I had one call with the attorney. I did a bunch of stuff through email, and I didn't have to worry about all of those things. So it was a good experience for me. So with that being said, since we know the different types of books, and we've talked about, the whole decision process, once you figure out which type of book that you want to produce, and we start going through the design elements and the design pieces of this amazing book that you're going to create. I think I gave some examples of the lining. Yeah, the lining. Other things that you can add to your book. If you want to hire an illustrator, there's a few different illustrators that are out there. You can go over to Fiverr if there's an illustration that you want created. Just make sure, again, that they fully understand that you're planning on selling that book, because there will be a royalty that you will have to pay to them and a credit that you'll have to put on the inside cover if you're going to have the book illustrated. If you're going to go with sites like Canva or Crello, I think that's the other one that's similar to Canva, or Create Designs, or Crello was acquired by Vista. Okay. Vista used to be Vista Print, which is very interesting. I mean, I don't know if you all know that. So Crello was acquired by Vista. Okay. And I did not know that. And then there's also Creative Markets and Creative Fabrica. Again, you can get some designs from there. You just want to find the ones that are royalty free and copyright free, so that you can use them as you wish, however you want, without any issues. Okay. And I'm giving you a bunch of different sites to pull images from, or to pull different things from in this training class. So go and utilize all of that to be able to extract out what's applicable to you based on the type of book that you're going to publish and that you want to put out into the universe. So the last thing is, when you get to the place where you have written the contents of your book, you again always want to go back and look. If you've never written a book before, go see what's on the last couple of pages of the book. For some, there might be an additional like page where some information is put. And then for others, it may just be a plain white page. That's the last couple of pages of the book. So go and see what others are doing or have done as far as the book is concerned, so that way your formatting works. You want to follow it from first page to last page, making sure that it's something that's going to be complementary or similar to what others have already put out, not in the sense of wanting to copy them, but just not creating something that is so drastically different that it's hard for people to follow. So an example might be me creating a planner, and typically a planner, you do things front, you'll have pages where they will write on certain sides of the page, or maybe front to back of the page. And so you decide, instead of creating a portrait format for a planner, you decide to do a vertical format for a planner, more like a flip calendar planner. Well, that's definitely going to be very different, because that's not the traditional format or layout of a planner. So if you want to go completely against the grain, you can try and do that. But you need to be prepared for whatever the response is from the audience. If they feel like this is too hard for me to write, like I'm used to writing when I went to school, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, I always wrote in a portrait format. You don't write things in a horizontal or landscape format unless you're taking a calendar off the wall, writing on your calendar and hanging the calendar back up. So it's not for everyday writing. So if it's something that people are not used to doing, then your audience may not receive it well. They may not accept it or embrace it well, and you just need to be prepared for that. So that's what I'm trying to say. So go and see what's traditional, what's common, so that way you don't create something that's so left of center field that it doesn't gain any traction. The other thing is, I do want you to know that based on what you create and put out into the universe, like, you're going to have some potential limited sales as you kick this off. And so that's the reason why those people that are doing books, they create multiples. They don't just create one. Now, there are authors that are literary authors that have major, book deals. James Patterson, he writes all these different series of books and stuff like that. And so it's a whole thing for them to write novels and books like that, versus, creating an ebook and putting it out to the universe. So once you get your first ebook or you get your first book published, again, allow yourself anywhere from 3 to 6 or 9 months to prepare to create your next one. And to get better at the process, you'll get to a place where you're able to publish and release books fairly quickly. You can look at outsourcing, which I can't remember if we've gone over outsourcing or not. So I do need to make sure I go back over outsourcing. But you can have someone, you can use your phone, the memo recorder on your phone. If you're writing a book, you can use the memo recorder on your phone to record the book, and then you can have it transcribed. There are transcription services. You can use the memo audio in your book and have a VA transcribes it for you. You can send your papers off to copyright sites where they can look at it and help you with some level of formatting, tweaking certain words and things like that. So there are things you can do to improve it. But the thing that's going to help you to get the most traction on your book is, one, making sure that you're producing a book where there's already an established audience, there's already established need, there's already established want for this particular product, and also making sure you do a good job with the cover and the keywords. If you do a good job with the cover and the keywords based on the niche book that you're creating, it will automatically get some traction. Whether it is selling 5 books a day or 5 books a week, you're going to get some traction. And the goal is for you to get steady income. So even if you never get to 20,000 sales, meaning 20,000 books sold, You know, if you get to 5,000 or 10,000 books sold, if you got 5,000 books sold and you're selling them at $10 a pop, that's $50,000 that you made. So my point is that, you know, your book could become a gold rush, or it could be something that is trickling money into you on a regular basis. If you put out your first book and then you put out your next book and you put out your next book and you put out your next book, that could be something that generates you revenue long-term, bigger picture over time. Just put together your game plan on when you're going to work on each one of the books and release them. So with that, I hope this information is helpful. We are going to tomorrow upload our fake book and look at it and see what adjustments we need to make based off of the fake book that we've created. All right. That's all I got for you. Are there any questions I can answer?
No, you have a good evening.
You too. All right.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.